Human biochemistry is a branch of science that studies chemical reactions and biological processes that occur in the human body, as well as how biological molecules, such as proteins, carbohydrates, fats, nucleic acids, and vitamins, function to support life. Human biochemistry reveals how the body converts and uses these substances to support growth, cell repair, energy, and other physiological functions. Here is a more detailed explanation of human biochemistry. 1. Main components of biochemistry in the human body. The molecules involved in the biochemical processes of the human body consist of various types of biomolecules that have very specific and important functions to maintain life. These main components include A. Carbohydrates. The description is, carbohydrates are organic compounds consisting of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Carbohydrates are the main source of energy for the human body. The function of carbohydrates is, carbohydrates are converted into glucose, which is then used in the process of cell metabolism to produce energy in the form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Examples: glucose, fructose, sucrose. Glycogen, a form of carbohydrate storage in the liver and muscles. Biochemical processes, namely, the process of glycolysis, glucose breakdown, and the citric acid cycle produce energy used by body cells. B. Fat, lipid, description, namely, fat is a molecule consisting of fatty acids and glycerol. They function as long-term energy storage, thermal insulation, and organ protection. Function of fat, namely, in addition to being an energy reserve, fat also plays a role in forming cell membranes, transporting fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, K, and producing certain hormones. Examples: triglycerides, phospholipids, cholesterol, fatty acids. Biochemical processes, namely, lipolysis, breakdown of fat into fatty acids and glycerol, and beta-oxidation, decomposition of fatty acids to produce energy. C. Protein. Description, namely, protein consists of long chains of amino acids bound by peptide bonds. Protein is a very important molecule in the body, functioning in almost all biological processes. Function of protein, namely, protein plays a role in forming cell and tissue structures, such as collagen in the skin and bones. Transporting molecules, such as hemoglobin that transports oxygen, and as an enzyme that accelerates chemical reactions in the body. Examples: enzymes, hormones, antibodies. And structural proteins such as collagen, elastin, and keratin. Biochemical processes, namely, protein synthesis occurs in ribosomes through the translation process preceded by DNA transcription into mRNA. D. Nucleic acids. the description is nucleic acids, namely DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, and RNA, ribonucleic acid, are molecules that store genetic information in the body. The function of nucleic acids. DNA encodes genetic information needed for protein synthesis, while RNA plays a role in the transcription and translation process to produce proteins needed by cells. Examples: DNA, RNA, ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Biochemical processes, DNA replication and RNA transcription, as well as protein synthesis through translation that requires interaction between RNA, ribosomes, and amino acids. Vitamins and minerals. The description is: vitamins are organic compounds that are needed in small amounts for body metabolism, while minerals are inorganic elements that are also needed in small amounts for the body's biological functions. The function of vitamins and minerals. Vitamins and minerals play a role in various biochemical reactions in the body, including as cofactors for enzymes, blood formation, and in maintaining the function of the immune system. Examples: vitamins A, C, D, E, K, and minerals such as calcium, iron, magnesium, and potassium. Biochemical processes, namely, vitamin A plays a role in protein synthesis. Vitamin D is involved in calcium metabolism, and calcium is needed in the process of muscle contraction and blood clotting. 2. Energy metabolism. Human body metabolism consists of two major categories: anabolism and catabolism. A. Catabolism. Description: catabolism is the process of breaking down large molecules into smaller molecules, which produces energy. Example: the process of glycolysis, where glucose is broken down into pyruvate, produces energy in the form of ATP. Then pyruvate enters the citric acid cycle and the electron transport chain to produce more ATP. Biochemical processes: glycolysis, glucose breakdown, the citric acid cycle, Krebs cycle, and the electron transport chain that produces ATP and byproducts such as carbon dioxide and water. B. Anabolism. Description: anabolism is the process of forming large molecules from small molecules, which requires energy. Example: protein synthesis from amino acids, glycogen synthesis from glucose, and fat synthesis from fatty acids. Biochemical process, namely, the process of protein synthesis, transcription and translation, requires energy from ATP. While glycogen synthesis from glucose occurs in the liver and muscles. C. Energy reserves. Description: namely, the human body stores energy in the form of glycogen in the liver and muscles, and triglycerides in adipose tissue for use when needed. biochemical process, namely, when the body lacks energy. The process of glycogenolysis, glycogen breakdown, and lipolysis, triglyceride breakdown, occurs to release glucose and fatty acids as energy sources. 3. Specific biochemical processes in the body. Here are some important biochemical processes that occur in the human body. A. Glycolysis. The description is: glycolysis is the process of breaking down glucose, C6 oxide, into two pyruvate molecules, C3H4O3, in the cell cytoplasm, which produces ATP and NADH. The function of glycolysis is providing immediate energy in the form of ATP, and producing pyruvate that can be used further in the citric acid cycle if oxygen is available. B. Citric acid cycle, Krebs cycle. The description is: the citric acid cycle occurs in the mitochondria and involves the breakdown of acetyl-CoA into CO2 and H2O, while producing NADH, FADH2, and ATP. The function of the citric acid cycle is providing electrons for the electron transport chain, which produces more ATP, circa electron transport chain and oxidative phosphorylation. Description: the electron transport chain is a process that occurs in the inner membrane of mitochondria where electrons from NADH and FADH2 are used to produce ATP. Function: this process produces most of the ATP used by the body for various cellular functions. D. Protein synthesis. Description: protein synthesis involves two main stages: transcription, copying genetic information from DNA to RNA, and translation, reading mRNA to produce a chain of amino acids. Function: providing the body with the proteins needed for various functions, such as enzymes, antibodies, and structural proteins. E. Fatty acid metabolism. The description is: fatty acid metabolism involves the breakdown of triglycerides into fatty acids and glycerol through lipolysis, and fatty acids are then further broken down through beta oxidation to produce ATP. The function is providing a very important backup energy source when glycogen reserves are depleted. 4. The role of biochemistry in health and disease. Understanding the biochemistry of the human body is important in a clinical context, because disorders in these biochemical processes are often the basis for many diseases. Example: type 2 diabetes is caused by disorders in glucose metabolism, which are related to insulin resistance. Disorders of fatty acid metabolism can contribute to obesity and cardiovascular disease. Metabolic diseases, namely, disorders in energy metabolism, such as phenylketonuria, disorders in phenylalanine metabolism, or disorders of fatty acid metabolism, can cause the accumulation of toxic substances or energy deficiency for the body. Conclusion. The biochemistry of the human body explains how biological molecules function to support life through well-coordinated chemical processes. A thorough understanding of biochemistry is essential in medicine, since disturbances in metabolism or other biochemical processes can lead to a variety of diseases. For example, an understanding of glucose metabolism is essential in the management of diabetes, while an understanding of fat metabolism is important in the management of cardiovascular disorders.